Issue 3, the envelope, please. As is the group's custom, we will now present our 10th annual year-end awards. Biggest winner of 1991, Buster, what do you think?
It is a runaway for Boris Yeltsin.
Boris Yeltsin. What do you think, Joe?
Colin Powell, he had it both ways on the war. He was opposed it and in favor of it.
Very interesting, Colin Powell. Jack?
Oh, Yeltsin.
Yeltsin. Mort?
Yeltsin.
The biggest winner of 1991 was the Al-Sabah family, the royal family of Kuwait. The biggest loser of 91.
The biggest loser was a loser for all seasons, Mikhail Gorbachev, who now, the best thing he can do is, now maybe he can show up to be a panelist on
Now, wait a
Hollywood
minute.
Squares.
You're supposed to run that together. Mikhail Gorbachev, your hero, John. What do you say, Joe?
Karl Marx.
Karl Marx?
Oh, yeah, it's over.
Marxism, communism is dead. What do you say?
I think the biggest loser has to be George Bush. He lost 50 points on the polls.
Biggest loser of 91.
Tie between Saddam Hussein and John Sununu.
Biggest loser of 91 is, regrettably, Yugoslavia. Best politician, I ask you.
The country you said would never break apart. I think Bill Clinton came from nowhere to being now, with Mario Cuomo out, the clear Democratic front-runner, the best poll of the year.
Best politician, Joe.
James Carville put Harris Wofford in a pickup truck and won an election.
Right. Jack.
I was going to say Wofford himself. He learned how to play a little bit.
Mort.
Leonid Kravchuk, who bounced from being a hardline communist to being a free market reformer, and nobody noticed.
Best politician is Clarence Thomas. High-tech lynching of an uppity black that turned everything around. Worst politician, I ask you.
Boris Pugo. Not only did he lose the coup, but he lost his life.
What do you think?
George Bush. He had a mandate to do whatever he wanted, and he squandered it.
Jack.
Well, Dick Thornburg retired the cup in Pennsylvania.
What do you think?
David Duke. He lost again, and everybody still thinks he's important.
That's a stretch, Mort. The answer is, as Jack said, Dick Thornburg. Thinker of the year. I ask you, Mort.
It's for me. His name is Fred. Fred Beetle. Remember him?
I was looking at the man waving time cards at me, all right?
John, come over here.
Don't take offense. Now, let's go back to you. Mr. Beetle, we got to observe your rank. The thinker of the year
is the man who predicted 17 years ago what would happen this year. Alexander Solzhenitsyn said communism would fail and the Soviet Union would break apart and we'd have Russia and Ukraine and so on.
Best thinker of the year, Joe.
Collective award to the Progressive Policy Institute giving Bill Clinton his agenda.
Collective award to whom?
The Progressive Policy Institute, showing that there is life and brains in the Democratic Party.
Where is that institute? What is this?
It's the moderate Democrat. I'm going to identify some of them.
Yeah. Go. Okay, Jack, best thinker?
Paul Tsongas, his economic ideas, I think, is the Democratic Party.
Hey, bravo. I would go along with that. What do you say?
The Clinton Economic Brain Trust, Rob Shapiro, who is the vice president of the Progressive Policy Institute, and Robert Reich of Harvard.
The best thinker of the year, this is going to shock you, fasten your safety belt, is Susan Faludi. What book did she write? Do you know? You alleged feminist?
Backlash.
Turncoat of the year, I ask you.
Anita Hill.
Anita Hill. Interesting. Very interesting. Turncoat of the year.
Buddy Roemer.
Buddy Roemer becoming a Republican, right?
Right, and opening it up for Edwards and Duke.
Former Democratic governor.
Might still be governor.
Democratic turned Republican governor of Louisiana. Jack, turncoat of the year.
I think Roemer.
You think Roemer?
Jerry Brown, who formerly was the piano player in the whorehouse and then became the president of the Women's Christian Temperance Union.
The turncoat of the year was Ann Mercer, the alleged victim's alleged friend. Most boring person of 1991, I ask you, Freddie.
So many candidates, but I think Javier Perez de Cuellar retires the trophy. And he is also retiring as Secretary General of the UN.
Well, yes, but you want to say something nice about him.
No, I don't.
No?
No, not a word.
Nothing?
Nothing.
What do you think?
Joint award, Tom Foley, George Mitchell. I especially like their anti-recession package.
Jack, who's the most boring person or event?
Mario Cuomo, clearly. The whole dance.
Do you think it was that boring?
It was that boring.
Did it have any moments at all when it engaged your interest?
It didn't engage my interest. It engaged my interest and then destroyed it.
So you're talking about his ongoing, protracted, painful indecision, right?
Exactly. Almost as ongoing and painful and protracted as your exposition of the question.
There is a reason for this, Jack.
Fred Barnes seems to think that a man who produces peace in places like Cambodia and Afghanistan and so on is boring. I completely disagree with you. The guy deserves a lot of credit, Javier Perez-Square. The most boring person of almost every year is Michael Jackson.
The most boring event of 1991, for every year for that matter, is the Weather Channel. The bummest rap, I ask you.
Well, actually, several bum raps related to Clarence Thomas. One, that he was a sexual harasser. Two, that the White House dreamed up all these schemes for him to do. The notion when he came and used the race card and played it against the committee was his idea, not the White House. The notion to come back and say it in prime time right after Anita Hill was Clarence Thomas's idea, not the White House.
Joe Klein, can you improve on that, the bummest rap?
Does the Democrats have a second-rate field? Usually they have a third-rate field. This is really an improvement.
Jack, what do you think the bummest rap is?
Bummest rap is that John Sununu was responsible for George Bush's failure to confront economic issues and domestic issues. I think that was the bummest rap.
You do?
Yeah.
Mort, can you improve on that? The bummest rap.
The bummest rap, two of them. One is that Anita Hill was a nut, and the second is that Clarence Thomas was above the idea of using race cards and playing racism. He proved that he was entirely capable of that.
The bummest rap of 1991 was Peter Arnett. Who's Peter Arnett, Mort?
He's CNN correspondent.
What's the rap, the bum rap?
That he, I think it was a fair rap, actually.
You do?
That he did not accurately report what was going on in Iraq.
You think it was a bum rap, Jack?
I think it is a bum rap. I think he did the best he could.
What do you think it was a bum rap or a fair rap?
Oh, it was a bum rap.
Bum rap. You think it was a bum rap or a fair rap?
I vote with Mort.
Oh, Tweedledum and Tweedledee here. Freddie, what's the fairest rap of 1991?
Well, one of them is the one about Peter Arnett, but the other one is that Bush is a foreign policy president who doesn't care much about domestic policy. It's true.
It's true. It's a fair rap.
Yeah.
What do you think, Joe?
Oh, it's a runaway that Mario Cuomo is indecisive.
Jack, can you give me a fair rap?
The fair rap is that it was indeed the President Bush and not John Sununu who was responsible for the White House's trouble.
Yeah, including a number of items. What do you say?
And Mario Cuomo's a sophist at the same time.
Sophist and sophist? Sophist.
Is the way
Correct pronunciation. A fair rap is the Senate Judiciary Committee and the rap it took. Issue 4. Bye-bye blob.
I'm not a blue blob. I'm a person. It's my name. And it's me. I'm a human being. I have nothing to be ashamed of.
Patricia Bowman, the woman who accused William Kennedy Smith of raping her, has dropped the dot. Last week, Smith was acquitted on charges of sexual battery against Bowman over Easter weekend at the Kennedy Palm Beach estate. This week, in an emotional TV interview, the 30-year-old Jupiter, Florida woman chose to be identified by name and face as she retold her version of the event.
It was not consensual sex. It was a violent act.
Now that the public has identified by face and by name Patricia Bowman, what do you think is the dominant, collective feeling in the U.S. on whether alleged rape victims should continue to have anonymity if they so wish? I ask you, Mort.
Clearly, the dominant opinion in the country is that it is up to the woman to define whether she wants to be named or not. People like you want to, as you did last week, try to rip the mask of anonymity away and deprive her of her own decision. In this case, she decided that she wanted to be known. It's up to her. That's fine. But it's not up to people like you or the New York Times or NBC News to name her instead.
Well, my belief is that the stigma attaching to the accused rapist is as severe, if not more severe, than any stigma attaching to the alleged victim. Just a moment. In addition, I think that the very objective of the victim of rape, that is, to render those others who have been raped more congenial to coming forward, is inhibited by obscuring the identity of victims, because it seems to say, by implication, as we saw when the dot was in place, that this woman is so bad that she cannot be viewed.
Look, that is not...
I would like to hear from you.
Well, John, that's entirely counterintuitive, and there's no evidence to support that either, that is...
Well,
somehow-
after
wait a
having
minute.
seen her on the
Yeah.
screen, do you not intuitively feel that it would have been better if she was on the stand, when she was on the stand, to have revealed her face and her identity?
No, and the jury saw her face
jury
anyway. So that it would not have affected the trial. But look, it has to be. There is a stigma in this country, and in I think most places in the world, when somebody is a rape victim, because there are people around, and I won't name any names here, but who will always jump to the conclusion that she was asking for it.
And it's so tough to get a rape conviction in any case that you might as well just give them something, some degree of anonymity, some kind of a...
This is not the first case where a woman has chosen to be identified. There have been several. I mean, several prominent ones. There have been a lot, as a matter of fact. But I think it has to be their choice.
Do you think that she will bring a civil lawsuit against Kennedy?
I don't know whether she, but you're enough of a student of archetypes and about an ancient tradition that you should know that what kind of a stigma historically has been attached to rape victims. Come on now.
And you are perpetuating that stigma by keeping the blob in place, Morton.
When it goes, John.
Read Dershowitz and listen to Dershowitz.
Alan Dershowitz is not God.
Buster Beetle Bonds, predictions.
John, President Bush will name a woman to a prominent position at the White House. Replacing Fred McClure as the White House congressional lobbyist in Congress will be Janet Mullins, who now works for Jim Baker at the State Department.
Serious disintegration of the Soviet Army, especially in some of the outer republics in Central Asia. Maybe even some units going off and forming rogue outlaw bands.
Jack DeMont.
Serious disintegration among Republican Senate candidates in this country, to the point that right now some of the best analysts think they would be lucky to break even in 92, and if Bob Dole doesn't run, they might even lose a seat.
Morton.
Next year's Nobel Peace Prize, Javier Perez de Cuellar. The year after that, James Baker.
I will predict that in 1992, Fidel Castro will step down as prime minister and become president. He will name a new prime minister, and the first name of that prime minister will be Carlos. And there are the two possibilities. I won't tell you what they are. And Fidel will become a figurehead, and Cuba will be transformed. Next week, more group year-end awards. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
The McLaughlin Group.
GE is proud to support the McLaughlin Group. GE. From satellites to medical systems, we bring good things to life.
For a transcript, send $5 to Federal News Service, 620 National Press Building, Washington, D.C., 20045. Specify program date. Topics are selected by Mr. McLaughlin, and the opinions expressed are solely those of the participants.
Mm-hmm.